Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the aviation accident update number 2. Just a couple of the stories to add to my previous video. Very interesting, we are speaking about the ATR 72 tail strike that happened I think today. It happened in Brazil with Azul Linhas Airlines. The ATR 72, this is the modification of that airplane, the serial number Papa Romeo Alpha Kilo Oscar, and this is the flight number from Aracaju to Recife. Hopefully I spelled those names correctly. Well, the runway 18 was in use and the wind conditions were the crosswind. I would say 100 degrees, the crosswind with a little tailwind component, but still the wind is not that severe, just 10 knots, nothing really. We have the video on YouTube. We have it from this channel, so I shout out the information about this channel. And this is the surveillance camera installed on the airfield. You may see nice Azul Airlines. I really like the colors, even though they are a little bit dark. So the airplane was approaching, and here you can see the moment where it started to pitch up. And it touched the ground just with the main landing gear and with the tail later on bouncing up. The nightmare for every ATR 72 pilot, because the airplane over here is quite long. It also has the tail strut on the very out part of the airplane that is used to protect the airplane construction against the tail strike events, but this touchdown was really severe, unusual, not the scratch but really touchdown with the tail, some separation of some of the elements. The pitch angle is quite high for this moment, so obviously it led to the tail strike. The main cause was the loss of the airspeed. So let's watch it again. So everything seems to be normal, but here the airplane starts to lose the airspeed. The vertical speed increased, and to counteract that, the pilots didn't add the power, but instead they rose up the pitch. I wonder who was the pilot flying captain or the first officer, but this is really a call to increase the power if your vertical speed is quite high. So what led to the speed loss? The poor control of the airspeed obviously, and also maybe the high flare, because here the pitch angle is normal. On ATR with a normal speed, the pitch angle is not that high compared to, let's say, jet airplanes like Airbus and Boeing. The pitch could be even 0 at some point, and here I see the positive pitch quite higher than the flare should be initiated. At the same time, pilots probably reduced the throttle, causing the airplane to lose the speed. We may see this moment of reducing the power, then the blades start to rotate differently. So over here, obviously it was the idle thrust, and then the high pitch, and really terrible situation for every pilot. I filmed this one long time ago, then I used to fly the ATR 72-600 in Garuda Indonesia Airlines. So here is the tail prop or the tail strut that is used to protect the airplane tail. So there is the special device that deforms inside. So if you have this tail strut goes behind those red bars over here, it means that the tail strike is severe and a special technical assistance or technical action is required for the inspection of the force elements of the airplane. Here we have the tail strut over here that is used to stabilize the airplane on the ground to avoid the pitch up and touching the ground while disembarking the passengers, because the door is actually on the back, so all the people are coming to the back side of the airplane. Actually, this thing helped a lot to avoid the airplane to pitch up on the ground. So you can clearly see those red marks over here. So if your tail prop goes behind those, it means that the tail strike was really severe, and as we saw in the video, it was indeed severe. Here is one more photo. Definitely you shouldn't be flying the ATR 72 like that. The 42 is more or less okay with those pitch angles, but 72 it's very long. This modification of the airplane has a very long fuselage to increase the capacity of the airplane. to make it more efficient for the larger number of the passengers. That's why pilots should take care if they fly such a long airplanes. We even done the extra training on the flight simulators to avoid the situations like that, but you know, in my career I have never been so close to that stuff. The main and important thing is to control your airspeed, and as usual tail strikes are happening mostly on the takeoff rather than landing, and as you saw in the video, the situation might escalate very fast if you are not controlling your flight parameters properly. Alright, let's go to the other case, again the ATR 72-600 with the bird strike. The flight was performed in Maldives from Huarafushi to Dravandoho Islands. So the local airline in Maldives, the ATRs are very popular over there to fly between the islands. Very efficient airplanes for those kind of the operations. And here you can see probably stock or something looks like the stock. The airplane was grounded for 4 hours. Later on, probably they used the speed tape to tighten this stuff. This is the front part of the airplane, by the way. Here you may see the airplane pitted, so the airspeed sensor for the captain's side. Luckily the bird didn't damage it, just the forward cone was damaged, and it's quite easy to replace it. I wonder if the weather radar was damaged as well. Probably not, because it is located at the central part of the nose, not on the side where the bird actually hit the airplane, so the damages could have been much severe. The airplane landed successfully. I had few of the bird strikes in my career. Once on ATR, it was after the landing, I hit the goose or something like that, so all of my window was covered with the goose remains. I was the first officer by that time, and luckily captain took the control over the airplane and happily rolled out from the runway. On the parking, we used some Coca-Cola to clean this mess from the airplane. Coca-Cola helps a lot, much better than the water from my practice, and there was no damages to the airplane construction, so we continued the operation after that flight. One more bird strike I got on Boeing 737 in Paris, also straight into the window. At least part of the window was covered with bird remains. Coca-Cola, or Coke you may call it, helped a lot at the second time as well. But I know different stories how the birds went into the engines and how people struggle to get control over the engines, and sometimes my friends, even the people whom I know, shut the engine down to avoid total collapse, the jam of the engine, which might cause the fire also. So everything is done by checklist, and there were the cases connected to the bird. This bird, by the way, could hit propeller also, and in that case the vibration might have occurred, but happily the bird hit just the side of the nose cone, so everything is alright over here. Alright, let's go to the United States of America, Hawaiian Air Base. Here you can see the Boeing 737. Well, actually it's not the Boeing 737, but modification of it, the military one, surveillance airplane. It is called P-8A Poseidon, which is used for surveillance missions, and also it is the anti-submarine airplane. As you can see, it rolled out of the runway, finishing its trip just in the water behind the runway. It seems like the fuselage turned apart over here. Luckily, no one was hurt in this aviation accident. The cone separated from the nose, the engines totally drafted down, and what is kind of frustrating that there is quite a sensitive equipment inside that airplane, and now it's in the salty water. It will obviously damage everything, and I wonder if they may save some part of the equipment. Because of it, the airplane itself is much more expensive compared to the standard Boeing 737. I have the type rating on Boeing 737, so technically I am able to fly this modification as well. Here you can see the other photo, probably taken from the helicopter or from the drone. So just few of the meters left for the airplane to stay on the runway. As you can see, the apron and the runway are just covered with water. Also, I see the rain over there, so probably the runway was contaminated with the layer of water that caused the hydroplaning of the airplane. Also, locals reported that the airplane overshot the touchdown zone of the runway, failed to go around, and that is what we have after all. The Boeing 737 is not really that good in stopping after the landing. Compared to, let's say, the bigger airplanes like Boeing 777, you may ask every 737 pilot who later on flies 777. We have those in my airline, so 777 stops just immediately. I wouldn't say it's the great disadvantage of the airplane, still you may stop it manually, but it's not as comfortable as 777. Well, hopefully the United States Air Force would present the detailed analysis of this case. It would be very interesting to read it out. Remember our last video where we spoke about the Russian airplane which landed just in a field. So Russia is unable to evacuate the airplane from the place because basically there are not many roads to go there by the track to disassemble the airplane parts and to put on that one. So what they did, they put the fence around the airplane to get rid of locals who probably would like to steal some of the airplane parts. They put some of the security in this area, and the airplane stays like that for a very long time and will be staying like that for all of the winter, and probably during the springtime they'll try to take off from this airfield. Who knows? Well, quite an interesting story about this one. My friends, I think it's all for today. Just want to film something for you, and as usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky and have a great time.